Okay. All right. So good. So I just want to say welcome to any of us that are joining us now here today to start our webinar. In around 3 minutes, we're going to start live streaming and officially start. So if you're joining us now, we're so glad that you're here. And if I were an elevator, I'd play like music. So pretend that there's some music playing, or, hang out, blow your nose. If you're home, you can even touch your face. One of our panelists talks about doing this very sweet heart shape, stroking around the face. So just hang out for a moment and, welcome. You're here, you've begun. Those of us who are joining as I'm talking, I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome. And some of you I know by name, some of you are far away, and we are together, we're here, we're good. So music's playing, we're hanging out for just around 1 more minute, then we're gonna go to Facebook and we'll officially start. So now's a good time to go get yourself a drink or run to the bathroom, or go tell the kids you're busy, or let the dog in or out. If you have a cat like me, the cat wants to come in and out the whole time that I'm talking. So, and hi. So wonderful to be seeing some of you joining us. Hello. Getting some hellos from everybody. Hi. Okay. All right, loves. So just so you know, there's a small chance. Yeah, say hi in the chat. Hello. Oh, it's so great. Hi, everybody. Yay. I'm going to start sliding us over to live Facebook. There will be a little bit of lag when we're just setting that up, and then we will officially start. So here we go. We're preparing our stream. It's coming. It's coming. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Okay. One more moment. We got it. We're coming. All right. All right. Now, that's perfect, of course, I'm working on that. We might have to go back again. All right. Here we go. We're going to have to do that one more time. Here we go. And we start again. All right. Here we are. Thanks for waiting, everybody, and being so patient. Here we go. Okay. It's coming, it's streaming, it's like a blue line, it's uploading. Okay, here we go. Good. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome. I am so happy to have you joining us today. Although I suppose if you're like me, you're not in a perpetual state of happy, you may be in a perpetual state of overwhelm, or it's like the zombie apocalypse is upon us. Today, we're going to talk about some of the ways that we can navigate that. And first, let's just take a moment, take an exhale. Welcome, I'm glad you joined us. Because right now, being actually just in the moment and being calm enough to even hear information feels almost impossible. Or if you're like me and you've got too much information, it's like you're drinking from the fire hose and you can't figure out how how to do anything next. I mean, there's this question of, yesterday I thought I knew how to avoid getting sick, right? I thought I knew I could order out takeout and that was okay, and I could support my local businesses. But now I'm seeing all this information about how I'm supposed to sanitize the food that I take out, and do I have the capacity to like have the clean counter or the not the clean counter? You know, and if I'm not knowing how I'm gonna stay healthy or get sick, it's that feeling of, what about if someone I know is going to get sick? What about if someone I know that's far away who gets sick? There's this question of, you know, doom and death. These are terrifying times. And, you know, in this summit that we have been putting together for you, we started it about a week ago, and a week ago, I felt like, we all felt like the thing that we wanted to talk about changed. And then 6 days ago, and 4 days ago, and even today, when we wake up, it feels like it was different from yesterday. So we're starting this experience and this conversation truly in this feeling of, I can't even be right here in the moment, because this moment keeps changing. It keeps tossing me and making me feel like I don't know what's going on. And so how can I possibly make it feel better? You know, when I first 2 weeks ago was hearing about this, I have a 21-year-old daughter who's in New York City. And the conversation then, she's 21, was, well, you know, if and when you get sick, when will I be able to take care of you? Or are you going to be okay? Like, will I be able to be a mommy for you during that time? And would you rather like have the flu, you know, when you're there or here at my own home? That was 2 weeks ago. Then 1 week ago, the conversation became, well, can you get out of New York? And then it became, if you come out of New York, it's a quarantine, right? And then now it's, my God, I can't even leave my apartment, but I have a roommate that has asthma, or do I go for a run with a friend, but I can't go close? Every moment keeps changing. And it's not even just how we're navigating it. We now have the burden of being at home with perhaps kids. One of our panelists has 8. I have a good friend who actually has started to homeschool, but her kids are going stir crazy. And while the kids are going stir crazy, she still has a boss who's asking her how to get and understand this whole Zoom world and the online virtual business. And while she's trying to navigate and homeschool her kids, she's also trying to keep her job, and then forget about even trying to maintain a relationship with her husband, who, by the way, before all of this crisis happened, really wasn't in that great a relationship anyway. Or how about my friend who actually just fell in love, and she really, really wants to be with this perfect partner. But there's this question, because the perfect partner has a grandmother with a respiratory illness, does she actually have to isolate from this person that she knows is going to be the best person for her to get through this difficult time? So it's the anxiety of not knowing, it's the uncertainty of not knowing, and then it's the figuring out inside of the uncertainty, what do I just do in the moment? How do I survive and figure out how to be okay and healthy? And, you know, if you're like me, figuring out how to be healthy, I've got all kinds of stories in my head about what I know I'm supposed to do, right? I mean, heck, I'm a yoga teacher. I have friends that are nutrition coaches, and I get to talk to all these amazing panelists. But you know what? This morning when I woke up, I was way too nervous to even eat. I didn't want to eat. I wanted to wait until I could check out at the end of the day and watch television and finally exhale and say, okay, now I'm going to figure out what feels good to eat. Forget about like thinking and taking time when I'm so busy trying to survive and be okay in the moment. It's like there's a madness around us right now. And even though it's kind of a joke to talk about the zombie apocalypse, have you been outside lately? Have you gone driving? When I drive down what is the busiest street in my city, it's empty. The highway at night has no traffic on it. So this kind of this cinematic reference that we have about being in an apocalypse, we've all seen a movie or maybe a television show or even a commercial or some picture in a magazine of this kind of crazy time when we're all scrambling to stay alive and figure out if we have enough to eat and what are we going to do to be okay, and will we wake up the next morning? That reality is actually here. We don't need prosthetics on our face and weird, Halloween blood dripping out of our jaw to create some picture of a sense of doom. I'm afraid that I could die. I'm afraid that someone I know could. I know somebody who's on the front lines right now. I know several people that are on the front lines. I'm scared to death about them being okay. I'm terrified about not knowing how sick I could get if I get sick. Every day, my thinking I understand how to be well kind of gets chipped away at. I'm scared, and I don't think that I'm alone in that. I think that feeling of being scared is also a weird way that we've created more distress, right? My being afraid makes me, by the way, less able to concentrate and understand because I'm desperate to feel okay and certain. Like we know that my fear is soothed by my wanting to control and understand my environment. Right? When I'm anxious, okay, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm going to know what's going to happen right now and right here. And I'm going to make it okay. I'm going to make right now okay. But then the moment changes. So we're constantly feeding into this cycle of fear and uncertainty. In this time of isolation, the empty cars or the empty streets and highways are what feels to be this example of what it feels in my life. Like the things that I usually do, that we do to stay engaged. We go to movies, we have dinner, we see friends, we freely go swim maybe in the local lake or the ocean. Those things aren't available anymore. We're isolated. We're isolated and not able to be out doing the things that normally would help all of these problems. We're wired for connection. We're wired to want to be with each other. Doesn't necessarily mean you don't like being alone. I mean, I actually live alone and I love it most of the time. I need to feel like I'm not actually alone. That's how we are as people. Right? It's why we're all so busy on social media and why by the way, I'm really glad you're joining us. If you're on with us today on Facebook, just stopping by, hi. And so, this sense of being alone becomes really painful. And when you are alone, kind of inevitably what happens is you start to ask, who am I? What does it feel like being me? And then there's all these questions of why am I here? Do I want to be in this struggle? I know a beautiful, powerful woman right now who has developed a life after discovering that she has a neurological challenge. That in this time of isolation, even when there's a part of her that actually is less challenged, because she doesn't have to navigate the stairs and the steps and all of the things that are challenging for her. In this time of isolation, it's an agony It's an agony to be with the experience of herself. That feeling of, ugh, what's kind of my purpose in life? Am I supposed to be here? She's really thinking about checking out. She doesn't want to suffer anymore. And so being alone isn't just a physical thing. It's also, we're alone with our thoughts and with some of the hard places in here. That feels like an apocalypse sometimes. It doesn't matter if we're in a pandemic. Before this pandemic happened, being you, being ourselves, sometimes is the hardest thing that you can do. And we kind of have no choice right now but to be forced into this messy, uncomfortable, painful situation. It sucks. It's horrible. It's painful. And the reality is that in that sense of isolation and uncertainty, actually you're not alone. In a very real way, right here, today, right now, there's a community of authors and coaches and healers who want in some way to connect with you and say, hey, let me share you about my technique. Let me tell you about something that I've learned in my lifetime that helps me in these times of difficulty, that helps me to find some sense of peace, even vitality now, through all the crazy, all of the pain of the moment. Let me tell you about something that's helped me and that I think can help you. So welcome to the COVID-19 Wellness Summit. My name is Janet Farnsworth. I'm a somatic therapist and a body love coach. And I had the great gift of writing a book and meeting other incredible authors who are here to make a difference and to share with you some of their medicine and their magic about how to make life feel better. And so what we're going to do now for a bit of time is we're going to hear from our community, your tribe, right now, right here, real time, people who are saying to you, hi, I see you, let me talk to you, let me tell you what's up. And I am super excited because I know I've heard from these ladies before, but it's a new moment, so I'm going to get to hear from them again along with you. And our first panelist, our first speaker, Laura, I would love if you would unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and bring us into the conversation about how the hell do we make this moment okay, please.
Thank you so much, Janet. It's such an honor to be doing this here with you. Just extreme gratitude, first and foremost, for you putting this together and bringing us all together. I'm probably not the only one on the panel here who would say we all opted to do this because we wanted to share some knowledge, but I'm also probably not the only one who would say we're also getting what we need the most. And I certainly feel in the interviews that I've been able to participate in and the communication here, how much I've learned and grown from this. So really grateful for you for doing all of this. You touched on so many things just opening this up. And I think one of them, if we could sum it all up, I would sum it up in this like sense of powerlessness that we all feel right now. Even the most empowered people who are leaders and change makers have this sense of, I don't have control. I don't know what's next. Nobody can see the future. Well, maybe some people can see the future right now, but but aside from psychic power, nobody really knows what's going to go on. And there's a sense of powerlessness of, am I going to get this? Is somebody I care about going to get this? How is it affecting my business? How is it affecting my choices? And what this actually reminds me of was a time about 10 years ago in my life when I was placed on bed rest in my pregnancy. And I was like full throttle living at that point in a very busy career. But what bed rest did for me was well, it was a little depressing because it was this like lonesome time, but it really had me reevaluating my choices. And I think that's what so many of us are doing right now, is reevaluating the choices that we've made. Now that the world has sort of stopped for many of us, and not for everybody, to be sure, but for many people that the world has stopped, or it's gone so full gear that they're questioning, like, is this really what I want to be doing? Is this how I want to be living my life? And at a time when we have very little control or power to change, what we're left with is power to change ourselves. Is the power to say, like, what thoughts am I going to choose today? What choices am I going to make today? And I think that there is a gift in all of this, and that the gift in all of this is the ability to take a look at our lives through that lens.
Wow, thank you. Can you actually say quickly about what it is that you do? What is the medicine that you teach?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That would be important. So my business is Avalon Empowerment. It's a training company. We specialize in training called Evolved NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and another modality called the quantum change process, which is a process of alchemical forgiveness and sort of energy work. So I train mission-driven entrepreneurs and coaches and people who want to be life coaches or NLP coaches to use these tools, which are incredibly powerful in their practice, to connect with more people, to get amazing, miraculous results with clients, and to do this work.
Thank you. And I hear that particular piece is this concept of being able to make choices about how to think right now. Mm-hmm. Like actually maybe making a deliberate decision about how I'm going to navigate the apocalypse.
Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. And that's actually a beautiful segue to our next panelist that I want to invite. Tanya, you are an executive and life coach, and you also speak about how to figure out what to think and how to be with all of this, because I need some help.
Yes, Janet, we all need help. We're all feeling it. So I am a coach I help parents of anxious kids. And that's what my book is about. My book is called Stop Worrying About Your Anxious Child. So I talk to people, even before this happened, kind of every single day I was talking to people who were dealing with anxiety. And that's kind of where we are right now. We are all dealing with anxiety. So if I could just share one message to every person out there who's listening right now, it's that this is completely normal. We're all feeling a lot of feelings right now, and it's all normal, and you're certainly not alone, and it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. So we are feeling, like you just described so beautifully, Janet, we're feeling sadness. We're grieving the life that we thought we were going to have this week. We have, seniors aren't graduating. Proms didn't happen yesterday. Our jobs, our takeout restaurants, everything that we just the most normal things and the big deal things, all of those, we're feeling sad, we're feeling grief, we're feeling scared. And it's all normal and it's all okay. I can't wait when we get into the big program to be able to share some things not to do when you're feeling these big feelings, and to share some ways maybe to manage those big feelings. But right now, if the only thing you hear from me is it's all okay and it's all normal and you're certainly not alone, I hope you can take a little comfort knowing that.
Could you tell me what you mean though by being normal? Because I definitely do not feel normal right now. I'm like a 16 when I'm normally an 8. That ain't normal. Tell me what you mean.
Well, what I mean, and this is like one of my big messages, especially when I talk to teenagers a lot, and teenagers feel a lot of big feelings, as you know. And what I like to remind us is that fear kept us alive as a species. If we did not feel big fear sometimes, we would not have stayed alive. So it's an evolutionary gift that we all get to feel these big feelings. And the people who didn't feel those big feelings in the evolutionary past didn't have children. So we, the ones who got really scared when they saw a lion, or when they saw the Viking ship coming to the shore, or whatever was happening, and they knew to run away really fast or hide or fight back, those were the ancestors that survived, and that's the genes that we all are blessed with today. So it's totally normal.
Okay. Okay. So the fact that I want to hide in my closet is okay.
Yes, your ancestors hid from the Vikings.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tanya. And Joy Stone, I think, speaks as well to some of this. Joy, can you come on in? And you are a positive mindset and spiritual life coach. I'm hoping you're in there. Do I see
Can you hear me?
There you are. Yes, please
All right.
tell us. Tell me, make me normal, make me okay.
Oh my goodness. You're fine. All right. Okay. Well, I'm Joy, and yeah, I'm glad to be on this panel with so many great teachers, just humans, and just people trying to travel through this new experience together and share what we know and what we're learning. And, you know, even though my profession is, I'm a spiritual life coach, I'm a yoga therapist. I primarily work with, my book is about, I primarily work with individuals who are spiritual seekers, but still struggle with anxiety, even though they've tried everything, analyzed everything. So I help them find freedom from that when really nothing else seems to work. And, you know, this is new territory for all of us, as everyone's been saying. And if you lean into anxiety anyway, and I think even if you don't, this would be an anxiety producing situation with all of this unknown and uncertainty, is to remember that life is constantly full of uncertainty. It's just right now, it's pretty obvious. I think that brings me peace sometimes. Remember that I'm always living in the midst of uncertainty, of the unknown, that there'll always be factors about life that I can't control. But most of the time I live in the illusion that I do have more control than I have. And I don't mean that to sound scary, but we live in this sort of bubble that we have more control often than we really don't. Life can change, you know, in a second, and we can see how that has happened for us. And so I've been drawing upon, and I know a lot of people know this, the Serenity Prayer, like from 12-step program, or, you know, but I've really been drawing upon that a lot for myself. And it's that, you know, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I just want to say in regard to that, that for many, many years in my own life, I really focused on that prayer on the first part, like, you know, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Well, if that's the only place that we sort of stay, and I hear a lot of my friends and my clients saying, I'm just trying to accept this situation, I'm just trying to accept it. And we do need to accept it, but that's not the end of the story. I think we're going to gain more power or more feeling of being in control, or in our, what yoga calls our adhikara, or our studentship of life. When we really tap into, you know, grant me the courage to change what I can change. And that's going to change moment to moment for each of us. And we all are dealing with different things. I was just texting a friend this earlier about, you know, I've been with my son who's 5 years old, nonstop for 3 weeks. And that's new for me. And to tell you the truth, even as a teacher, even as a coach, I'm getting triggered, right? It's like bringing up, oh my goodness. And, you know, my husband, I shared this on the panel when we talked earlier, but my husband's best friend is in the hospital right now in a medically induced coma in ICU because of the coronavirus. And so there's a lot of things that we're all dealing with. And everyone that spoke already has said it so beautifully. There's just so much uncertainty. There's so much unknown. And yet we can still, there's that like power of the and that one of my teachers always would talk about. Like, that's true. And there's other truths that we just need to practice leaning into. And one of the things about courage, I'll end with this, is God grant me the courage, you know, to change the things I can. A lot of times for those of us that lean into anxiety, it's that catastrophic thinking. It's worst case scenario. It's trying to fill in. In my book, I talk about a puzzle, life being like a puzzle, and our anxiety fills in the pieces with a lot more fear than even is actually occurring. So just being the gatekeepers of our mind, and I'm having to do that for myself too. So I'm going to end with that. I don't want to take too much time, but.
Actually, you know, thank you so much, Joy. That is a perfect segue, because that particular serenity prayer, whatever you want to fill in, God, love, self, breath, my son would say science, whatever that thing is, there is some idea that there's something that's that's maybe outside of the experience of the moment, and our thoughts are in our own just being, that we can kind of rest in. I think one of our panelists, maybe it was you, talked about having a reference point of joy, or a reference point of something that feels like a big exhale, a sigh, a deep breath in, something that you might call your higher self.
Yeah.
And yes.
I want to say one more thing about that, because just to end with the prayer, the wisdom, the part that yoga, and spiritual psychology, there's a lot of this stuff we haven't gone through it. And so life is not academic, life is experiential. And as we go through this, we're going to gain wisdom as we step into that, accepting the unknown and changing what we can. We will gain, as that last part of the Serenity Prayer says, the wisdom that we can't possibly get just by trying to figure it out in our head. It's through living it. So I think that's really important, as you mentioned.
Thank you. And that's gorgeous, and really is a beautiful segue into our next panelist, who is a specialist in those things that maybe we cannot see, a guide to our other guides. And so, Deborah, I'd like to invite you in. You are, in fact, a master intuitive coach. Can you talk to us a little bit about this time and what you know about how we can navigate it?
Yeah, so, it's one of these times when all of us have always wondered there's got to be more to life than what meets the eye. At least for me, I always felt like it can't just be, we go to work, we go to bed, we wake up in the morning, we kind of power through. And something so cataclysmic as what's happening now is a really fabulous time to kind of open our minds to the greater spirituality around us. And many people wonder, I think that there is more going on than meets the eye, but I don't really have time to ponder that kind of a question. Or, maybe I'm terrified about it. I work in a traditional job and I can't think about those kinds of things, again, because there's no time. And here we are. We have this amazing, magical time where we're kind of hunkered down, and it's a beautiful time to create a spiritual practice, which in my mind is the most important thing in terms of navigating all the chaos that's going on. There's no better time than now to sort of have those moments every day where, whether it's a meditation practice or it's connecting with nature, but it's understanding that there are greater powers than just us, and we're not alone. There's a tremendous amount of spiritual guidance available to us, and it's here now even more than ever. The veil is thinner, so we have greater access to our spiritual guides. And, I'm always self-conscious about talking about spiritual guides because I come from a very traditional family, and yet I can't make it through the day without connecting on some level, because I get my guidance through that, I get some clarity, and mostly it makes me calm. So meditation is such an important thing, and connecting with your spirit guides can be the most empowering thing, and remind us that we do have access to a superpower, each and every one of us. Even though it may look different, we all perceive it differently, we all act on it differently, it may come in different ways, but it's available to us, and so it's here, and it's an amazing opportunity. So I'm not discrediting all the terrifying things that are happening. In fact, this workshop this week was so stabilizing because, my family is going through all the ups and downs and everything when you listen to the news. But the reality is there is a calm, and, if you can tap into it, it can really help center you to sort of navigate through these choppy waters.
Thank you. So wherever you are, however you are, let's just take a moment and do that thing, because you talk more about that, I know, in the panel that we share. And one of the ways that we access whatever that higher power is sometimes is just by pausing and breathing. So I want to invite you, wherever you are, it's as simple as this. Take a moment, exhale, and then inhale. Whether or not you call it God, spirit, love, or just breath, just breathe it in. Let it kind of love on you, and then give it back out and give it away. So that's one piece of how navigating all of this, right? We got to sort of deal with the like the crazy, and figure out how to just be in the moment. But now that I'm in the moment, now what do I do? Like, okay, I'm hanging out here, but I'm like, I have 17 cans of soup, and I'm really worried about going outside and staying healthy. So, which of course then makes me nervous again. But dear viewer, we have panelists who are going to talk to us, tell you right now something about how to be with you in the moment that you're in your bodies, in your beings. And our first panelist in that regard is Dr. Yanni. And I'm going to invite you, Dr. Yanni, to unmute yourself and join us, if you can.
Okay. And yeah.
There you
Hello,
go.
everyone. I'm Dr. Yanni. I'm a chiropractor, and I am an energy and productivity coach. So my book, No More Fatigue, has dealt with a lot of different things that we can do to improve our energy and our immunity. It's the steps are pretty much similar, if not identical. And what I would like to invite you to do is figure out and be mindful about your habits, because we have good habits and we have bad habits, and we need to increase our life-giving habits at a time like this and decrease the destructive habits that we have that zap our energy and zap our immunity. And one of the things that I like to think about, and what I talk about with my patients, is this whole idea of social distancing. And I think it's just false. We keep talking about social distancing, but it's not true. And what I mean by that is we're physically distancing ourselves from others, but socially we should be able to still be in contact with our friends, our family. We have FaceTime. We have different ways of connecting. And I think it's important for us, because having that connection with one another helps us to feel alive and feel happy. And that's one of the most important immune boosters. Laughter and joy and love is one of the most healthy boosters that we could think about. Again, we want to eat well, we want to sleep, we want to drink plenty of water to keep our body fluids thin and functioning properly, and do, we know what to do. But sometimes we just need that connection, because I know that when you're socially distancing yourself and you feel that isolation and that loneliness, that leads to depression, and that lowers your immunity. So if I could just say, try to be happy, try to think of something wonderful to take this idea of, oh my gosh, I'm so scared, I don't know what's going to happen. And yes, people are sick, people are having problems. I don't want to minimize that at all. But what can we do for ourselves? What can we take from this? What can we think just to help our own self? And that's what I think we need to remember. Just be in the moment. Try to feel the joy, the gratitude of being alive, and stay in touch with your loved ones.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Yanni. I know you talk more very specifically about the immune system, and you share some really interesting tidbits about how to make that happen in the panel that you share. It's interesting, because as I hear you talk about some of those things that we all know what to do, I know that even as I've been doing this panel and trying to bring us all together, I go to my go-to place that kind of just spills out into the anxiety of not being able to do the things that you're talking about doing, that even though I keep trying, I keep showing up and wanting to get it right? Like, I know that my dear friend who is housebound with a neurological disc issue, she wants to get it right. I know that my daughter is trying to figure out where to be and she wants to get it right. You know, it's like we're working so hard to be as mindful and awake and as healthy as we can. We signed up for this frickin' panel because I want to figure out how to get well. And then, damn, I keep finding my own humanity stopping me up. Now, I'd like to tell you about our next panelist, who, as I have been listening to all of these amazing authors, has actually given something very specific about how to figure out how to be with the uniqueness of my totally imperfect humanity. So, Robin, I hope you're there, and I'd love to hear from you to help us understand a little bit, give us a little teaser of what we do with our own familiar selves. Hi.
Well, hey, Janet, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Robin Wynn. I'm the author of Understanding Your Clients Through Human Design. And, you know, everyone has spoken so powerfully and beautifully about this chaos that we're all in, right? It's like we've come together to face our fear of death. We're stepping through the ring of terror. On the other side of that is the truth of who we are, is bliss, is stability. So right now we're being tossed around in the winds and we're all looking for, how do I stabilize? How do I ground? How do I navigate these crazy waters, right? And the trick is, each one of us is different. Each one of us is being bombarded in different areas of our life and different parts of ourselves, right? So how do we know what our vulnerabilities are and what our strengths are and how to make our way through this? So, right? Big question. How? I feel like we were all made for this time, and I'm sure some of you have heard that and said that yourself. We are made for this time. We can do this. Now, one of the manuals I think that was designed for this time is Human Design. So if you get your chart and look and see, who are you? You get a picture of, this is who I am. These are my vulnerabilities. Oh, I'm vulnerable around anxiety. Oh, I'm vulnerable around the emotional impact of this. Oh, I'm vulnerable with the thoughts that are getting tossed around in my head every time I read something new. I'm all over the place. How do we see what our vulnerabilities are? You can use your Human Design chart to look at that and start to use tools to stabilize those areas that are particular to you, that you're getting knocked over by. Because as someone said so beautifully, I can't remember if it was Tanya, or so many people said so many great things, we are not going to do well if we are frozen in fear. This is not going to serve us. We have to undo that amygdala activation, see it for what it is, see that in this moment we are actually not dying. In this moment we are fine. How do we get there? Let's look at the chart and see where you're getting hit. Let's see who you are and what strengths you can bring to this apparent disaster that is a transformational redo in many ways. So.
Okay, and it's good because I want to know more about that whole chart thing and understanding how I can use that to know myself better so I can know how to face my fear of what's happening, which I hear you have to do with death.
Exactly. So if you listen to my segment on Tuesday, then bring your chart to the webinar.
How the heck do I get a chart?
Just you can email me, Robin at Clients in Human Design, and I'll run your chart and I'll send it to you.
Really? You're just going to send me the chart and then I can go listen to you talk about it?
Yeah.
Ooh, cool. Actually, yeah, I think you have my chart now that I come to think of it. You got to send it to me. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Robin.
So much.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So Hope everyone's hanging in there. Thank you for staying, because we still we still have more. And this next panelist, I think, is an amazing combination of all that we've been talking about: body, mind, and spirit. In fact, it's what she does. She's a holistic medical doctor, one of the people who's being asked to be right there on the front lines. Dr. Veronica, will you please introduce yourself and tell us, what are you going to help us understand about how to get through this time?
Hi, Janet. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Dr. Veronica Anderson. I am an MD by training. I was an eye surgeon. Now I'm trained in holistic fields such as functional medicine, integrative medicine, and homeopathy. I'm also a medical intuitive, so I do the woo-woo spiritual stuff too. And the order of today and going forward is going to be resilience. And so many people are really fearful right now because they're wondering if their body can stand up to this storm, which is called the coronavirus. And you're wondering, is it gonna pass me by and I'm gonna be one of the 95% that lives, or am I gonna be in that 5% who doesn't? And how do I know? And what happens if I get exposed? And so that's where I come in, because first I want you to have tools today. And when you listen to my segment, I'll give you some of those secrets of being able to know what to do when you think you have something. You go to the hospital, they say you can't get a test, or you feel like you've been exposed, or you're like, I got a little cough, what do I do? You're scared. There are definitely strategies for your body in several ways. And on the other side, when I say resilience is not just a physical thing, it's a spiritual and emotional thing. And we know, well studied, that if you're having problems with your emotional or spiritual state, it will trigger your body. You will have a stress reaction. And when you have a big stress reaction, your immune system doesn't work. And so at this time, I've been helping people boost their immune system. There are ways you could do it. Everybody's running to the store and get hand sanitizer and toilet paper. That's not going to help you survive. Really, it's not. There are strategies that you can use to help you know that, and all of this is in research and science. And I want you to know what those are. Now, another thing I want to just ask the audience that's here now, whether you're on Facebook or on the webinar, the doctors who are in my network, a lot of them are on the front lines. If you didn't think this was serious before, I've gotten 2 letters this week from the governor of the state of New York. Why? I have a license in the state of New York. Now, I live part-time in New York City and part-time right outside of Philadelphia. Of course, I'm right outside of Philadelphia now because I don't want to go anywhere near New York. I want to put in a plug for Robin though, because when the governor sent me the letter to come to the front line, because of my human design, I knew the right answer was to say, no, I'm not supposed to be on the front line. I'm what's called a projector. And that means I'm not supposed to be on the front line. I will burn out quickly and not be useful to anybody. And so knowing where I'm supposed to fit in the cog and why I'm here talking to you on this webinar, this Facebook Live, is from knowing pieces of my spiritual state and putting it together with my academic knowledge to be able to help people as I can help people now by being on this type of venue where your doctors on the front line don't know what's going to help you necessarily unless it's a pharmaceutical or a vaccine. And don't go ask them. What you can do now to flatten that curve is to stay well. And that's what I want you to come do. Now, I don't remember my segments on Monday or Tuesday or when it is, but I just want to tell everyone, I want to give this to you now in case you don't make it. I have a kit that I got to give to you, drveronica.com/flu, where I give the 10 steps that help you ward off viruses. And I'm giving you that now because I think it's important for you today to start enacting some of these things. I don't want you to wait till tomorrow or Tuesday. It's important now because you need to stay out of the hospital. I am hearing stories about people who have something else unrelated, have gone to the hospital to get something else unrelated taken care of, and have gotten infected. This is real, but you can build resilience. There are science to show there are certain things that you can fix in your body, and those people are the ones that tend not to get sick. And so that's what I teach about, but also in doing that, so that you can clearly understand it's not just going to be about the supplement you take, it's going to be about calming down your spirit. And that's what some of these other wonderful women, best-selling authors are there to help you do. But also when you work with me, we're going to work on that. And if I can't help you in that area, I'm going to refer you to Deshauna or Allison or Laura or Sarah Jane, because it is a big deal for you to get it right, to build resilience, its body, its mind, and its spirit. And if any of those is off, you are going to have a problem. And we are here because we love you and we don't want you to have problems.
Thank you. I know you got some applause in the background. Yes, right. This is a holistic process. This is a summit for your body, your mind, and your spirit, for the entirety of yourself. And so today on this summit, it's kind of like we're making a salad of wellness. There's going to be a little bit over here, a little bit of seasoning that talks to you about your immune system. There's a little bit of seasoning over here that's going to talk to you about your spice. We got some real goods in there, like our next speaker, who's going down to the bottom, to the base issues. And so I am delighted to welcome Dr. Sheila, wherever you are. Come on in, my friend. And could you please tell us, in this salad of wellness that we're in, how we can take care of ourselves in the way that you are going to love us to teach us how to take care of ourselves. If I can find you, where are you? There you are. Hold on, I'm muting you. You're still quiet. So there you go.
Oh, yes. You're muting me. I'm unmuting me, but I'm here. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Wonderful information from all of our panelists so far. It's been great. I also want to talk to you from the standpoint of wellness. I am a physical therapist and I specialize in pelvic health. So this was a great opportunity for me to come in and speak about something that a lot of people don't think about. It's also a good time to think about it because a lot of us are home. So we have the time now to slow down for a minute and think about our health, overall health, not necessarily what I'm going to speak about pelvic floor, but this is a great opportunity for you to think about your health challenges and then make a plan when we're able to go back out, because that's coming. You know, don't think in the negative. Think that our time, this is a short time period, a blip in our lives. We're coming out of this. We're going to be able to go back out and do whatever we want to do. Think about that, and then think about, how can I go out and I'm going to be better, healthier, spiritually, physically, and better in wellness. Think about that. So for me, like I said, I'm a pelvic health physical therapist. I also do oncology, lymphedema, but today it's pelvic health. So I'm talking a little bit about what should you do with your pelvic floor. We're in the clinic, and also research supports this, that women who have pelvic health issues wait 5 years or more before they see treatment. Why? Because we're so busy. So guess what? We're not right now. You have a little bit of time. You're going to take that time and pelvic health. So we're talking about those bladder leaks, pelvic pain, pain with intercourse, pelvic organ prolapse. So all these things that are going on. And if you know anything does not feel right down there, think about it, scan your body, think about what it is, and address it. So I just wanted to come out. I think I'm speaking maybe on Tuesday. I'll talk a little bit more about what pelvic health is, what to look for, what you can do. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of little tidbit and a little teaser because this is the time for you to start. There's no reason for you not to. Take a breath. Think about how you're going to come out of this. You're coming out. So think about how you're going to come out of this happier, healthier, hopefully less anxious, and keep going.
Thank you.
You're
Wonderful.
welcome.
Do you have any little tidbit for us about anything about our pelvic floor that you'd like to throw at us before we get to hear more from you on Tuesday?
Well, I can throw out that if you want to start with the basics and exercising your pelvic floor, you certainly can do that. You can think about those little muscles that are down there. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but this is general today. So you can just do your squeeze and lift in order to start strengthening your pelvic floor muscles. And that will put you on the journey to better pelvic health. It's just that simple.
Thank you. Simple feels so good right now.
Doesn't it? I know. Too much going on, and simple is the best.
Oh my Lord, right? And this is, by the way, those of us, when you're listening to this, this is the salad. This is like all the pieces. It's like we've been saying and you've been hearing over. It's like Dr. Veronica saying just now, there are so many different things that we can be doing and trying and caring about. We are all in this moment and we can't get out of it. So the question today is just what is one thing that maybe you want to start with, and then maybe you can start to explore all the other pieces. And to take a little pause and a little bit of kind of organizing ourselves around it, I would like to invite our next panelist, who I think says something about how to be with everything so we can figure out what that next first step is. So Pat, will you bring yourself in and tell us what you have to teach us just today and give us a little sample of what we're going to learn more about when we see you on Monday.
Oh, thank you so much, Janet. This has been wonderful listening to everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I'm actually a certified life coach. I specialize in grief, but I also am a Spring Force Qigong trainer and teacher and healer. And so in this time with COVID-19, especially when I'm talking to the people who are grieving, one of the biggest issues is their isolation. It's like a layering of isolation, because not only do they feel isolated because of the grief that they're going through, but then we put on that we have our stay-at-home orders and all of this type of thing. So it's kind of getting people into their minds a little bit more than they even want to, because they're used to being busy. So emotions play a big part in our physical health. And so we've all been talking about mind, body, and spirit. And so Qigong is really a wonderful way for us to really find healing and help in staying healthy emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So I'm really excited because what I'm going to share on Monday, I believe is when I'm talking, is some Spring Force Qigong, a few little movements so that the viewers who are listening in can learn just a few moments to do at home where they can balance their energy for that greater physical and spiritual health at this time. So I just want to do one little quick thing here while we're here. Fear is an energy that can really create some issues for us. And as people have said before, it's okay that we're in a little bit of fear. This is something that has been with us for thousands and thousands of years to keep us healthy and safe. But when we have too much fear, that can really block it. So just very simply, all we have to do is put our fingertips together, palm to palm, fingers to fingers, and we just breathe in through our nose and out through our nose. And just to bend forward just a little bit and just say, I am so grateful. I am so filled with gratitude. And we just bow back and forth as we breathe in through our nose and out through our nose. I'm so filled with gratitude, because gratitude is the energy and the emotion that can help alleviate some of that fear and keep us in a better mindset to stay healthy during this pretty scary time.
Thank you. Thank you. I look
You're
forward
welcome.
to being with you again and finding out more about all of that. And on that note, actually, our next panelist, who I think has some offering of some relief and how to navigate into a little bit more peace, is Allison. Allison, can you come bring yourself into the conversation and tell us something a little bit about how to navigate the fear and the uncertainty that we're in again? You know, how do we find some of that peace?
Hi, I am a life transformation strategist, and I like to help people learn how to help themselves, to get outside yourself and back into your body, to really have, it's not about control, it's about getting in alignment. And one of the easiest tricks that you can do is, one is to name 3 things that you see around you. And what that does is it brings you back to present moment. If you're concerned with what you're hearing on the news or seeing in your feed, put it down for a minute, name 3 things, get yourself back into your center, and then flip your script. If you're feeling panic, be grateful that you are calm and at ease. And just keep repeating that, because it will filter down and your subconscious will eventually catch on that, oh, I don't have to be freaked out right now. I can be where I am and I am okay and safe. And I think that's just one of the easiest ways to get you out of that spiral. So, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Allison. Kimberly, in a similar vein, can you bring yourself in and tell us again about bring us around again about how to be with ourselves during this time? All of this information we've gotten just in this hour, what do we do with it?
Yeah, I'd love to. And thank you for having me. So I'm Kimberly Napier, and I'm a life and business coach. I'm also an intuitive and a positive psychology practitioner. So a lot of the work that I do with women and with men is to help them really get clear about what they want next in their life and design a life and work that they love. And of course, in order to do that, we need to get to a really grounded place and get connected with ourselves. And right now, we are feeling powerless and out of control. And the thing that we really need to do to help ourselves is to bring ourselves back to our intention and focus on what we can control. And really what we can control is our thoughts and the way that we want to be in this. And I know that that's not so easy. It sounds simple, but not so easy. And one of the tools that I would love to offer is to use gratitude to do that. When we get in fear, it's a very low vibration, as we've been talking about, and it can shut us down so that we are not resourceful, we're not able to navigate as well. And when we can start to, in the moment, bring ourselves back to gratitude in that moment, to bring ourselves to the present moment and focus on what we are grateful for, what is working right now in our lives, what we do have to be grateful for, it automatically lifts us out of that negative place and it starts to put us back into baseline. And then from there, we can start to be more resourceful. We can start to be there for those that we love. And gratitude is such a powerful emotion and vibration that not only will it bring you back to baseline, but from there, if you can start to almost like build that new pathway for you in your brain, that new neural pathway of focusing on what is working, what is going right for me right now, it will start to become more of your default. And you'll start to see that you don't fall into that negativity as quickly. There's more room to recover and to stay within those positive thoughts and keep you in a more resilient mindset. So it's not just about being positive, but it's about really being honest with yourself about what is true right now. That, you know, I am healthy, my family is healthy. Let's celebrate that. Let's focus on that. And what else can I do to help myself stay in alignment with that instead of falling into the trap of, you know, what could happen? Because all those what ifs that bring us into that downward spiral is just going to bring us down further. So using gratitude as a way to disrupt the pattern is really powerful. And then also using it as a way to prime your day. So to start out the day with the intention of gratitude is really going to help you equip yourself to deal with all that's coming at us and keep you in that positive flow and getting onto an upward spiral. So it's a very powerful technique. It's one that's really helped me in uncertain times. I lost my husband about 7 years ago, and using gratitude as a way to bring myself out of the panic and the fear of the uncertainty was so powerful. So I want to share that one with everyone, and there's other tools that we'll be talking about, but that's one that you can start with right away.
Thank you. And thank you so much. And I know you talk much more about this when we gather together. And I see just in the chat and some of our Facebook Live folks, I do want you to know that at the end of this, which is not that far away, we're going to give you all the information. I'm even going to show you right here on this webinar about how to make sure that you're getting the information so you can watch the panels. It's going to be recorded. You'll be able to access it when you want to. So that information is coming. And, you know, I had this wonderful experience right now, just as we've been doing this incredible panelists and listening to so many different authors and healers and teachers that in this salad of wellness, there is an amazing teacher who has been waiting, and I want to bring her in. And before we come out to the end, we got 2 more. I just want Shauna, please, will you join us? Because you have some serious medicine to share that I think all of us, as long as we are human, have this particular issue that you're going to talk about. And I know that having heard you talk the other day, it has been on my mind pretty much every day and every night. And please, can you give us a little bit of a heads up about what that is?
Yes. Hi, Janet. I'm Shauna Robbins. So I'm guessing that you didn't sleep well last night. Am I right?
You're so right.
How did I know that?
Exactly right. I even thought about you. I was like, damn, because I had to talk to someone in India, and oh my God, you're absolutely right. Tell me why I did that wrong.
All right. Well, I'm a health and wellness coach. I'm here to talk to everyone about sleep, because sleep is one of the most underrated weapons that you have in your arsenal right now to stay healthy and to boost your immune system. So a lot of people don't get enough sleep. And when I say enough sleep, I just want you to know that I'm talking about 7 to 9 uninterrupted hours. That's really important, that the hours are uninterrupted. And I'm going to tell you why. So when you lay down to go to sleep at night, that's what you want to aim for, 7 to 9 uninterrupted hours. While you are sleeping, your body makes these amazing immune cells. They're called CD8 cells. CD8 cells are made in your gut only while you sleep, not at any other time during the day. So it's really, really important to keep yourself healthy that you rest. Another thing that happens when you sleep is that your brain cleans itself. And during the day, you get all sorts of foreign invaders that come in through your eyes and your nose and your ears, come into your brain, and your brain knows this, and it has its own self-cleaning mechanism that's stimulated when you rest. And it creates these plaques and tangles that goes around, and they're sticky, and they pick up viruses and bacteria, and they pull them out, and then your body processes out as waste in the morning. And so without resting 7 to 9 uninterrupted hours, I'm going to just keep saying this, your brain is unable to get this done. And you know, you felt it when you don't sleep, you have brain fog. You can't remember people's names. You can't remember what you need to be doing. You're edgy. You're grumpy. You know, you're not working your A game. And all of us right now, we need to be on our A game, and you need to sleep, and that's going to get you there. So you've got brain health, you've got immune cells that are made, heart health, you know, heart disease, the #1 killer of women. And that is because most of us suffer from hypertension. We don't even realize it. And so when you sleep, your blood pressure drops, and your coronary arteries can help to repair themselves, and your heart can actually help to repair itself. So it's really, really important that you rest every night, 7 to 9 hours, so your body can restore and rebuild itself. That's the name of the game right now. As Dr. Veronica said, it's resilience. And I would have to say that it's also repair and restore. Those are the 3 R's that you want to focus on. And you can get those by getting your rest every night.
I love how this all comes together, because here's the deal. I know that, and I couldn't do it last night, right? And so now I'm like, Shauna has such good medicine. How could I have not put her in at the right time? Da, da. And I'm totally beating myself up. And you are totally right. I did not get enough sleep last night. And so it's like, here I start again. It's like, damn, I had all this good information, and yet I feel kind of like crap for a moment. I felt really bad. And when I realized that I hadn't put you in when I wanted to put you in. And in the divine way of things, our last panelist, I'm hoping, is going to help me feel better about feeling like crap. So, Sarah Jane, if you're there, after having worked very hard to work on that technology, can you
I am here.
start us back over? How do we do this when there's so much good information, but we are so utterly human?
Great question. So thank you for having me today. I appreciate this opportunity. And I'm just so grateful to be here amongst some of the most incredible women that I've ever been around. You guys have all done a fantastic job, so thank you. So really it's about our mindset. And you know, what is our mindset? Our mindset is what we're thinking. It's our attitude towards things. And it is incredibly difficult, no matter how good you are at setting the right mindset, to keep it positive during a time like this. And so in my segment, I talk about how we can identify that and the ways that we can maintain the healthy mindset. And it's so important. And the reason why is because when you have the right mindset, it allows you to be more flexible with what's happening, more accepting. You're able to then persevere through, you know, the crises that you're experiencing. And I'm going to be real vulnerable for just a minute and just let you know that even myself, like as someone who practices this consistently, regularly, that teaches it, you know, I'm a relationship and leadership coach with an emphasis on mindset, and I help women live more peaceful and successful lives. Even doing that, even having been trained, even have practicing this for so long, it is still hard. And even I myself have struggled with this. And so the best way to continue your positive mindset is by support. And I think this was mentioned earlier. We talked about the social distancing, and really we're not social distancing, we're physical distancing, because thankfully, in today's world, with all the technology available to us, we are able to still communicate and remain social. You know, it's interesting that how many people like now know what Zoom was that didn't know before, right? And how many people are utilizing that, and how we're still able to stay connected with our loved ones, because that is hard. It is trying, and it does create fear-based thoughts. And we do start have, you know, the negativity to set in. And as a mom, my goodness, like our lives have all been disrupted, right? Whether you're a mom or a caregiver or someone just at home, maybe you're completely alone, everything has been disrupted. Yet we are still able to find so much positive from it. You have to search for it sometimes, and it's easier said than done. But it's out there, and you can do it. And I know that all the healers and coaches out there right now, we're the ones that can come together to support each other and lift those up that aren't able to see it, right? Because sometimes it's hard to see what's right in front of us. And I get it, you guys, I understand truly, because I even had my own self-doubts about even doing this. Like, I'm not qualified, or I'm not good enough. The limiting beliefs just start pouring in. And, you know, I'm so grateful that I have such a strong community of women to support me. And I really encourage everyone to reach out. I don't care if you've never met me before and you need something, or you need some help, or you need support or encouragement, reach out. Like, stand by those that are willing to help you, because they're everywhere. Go on Facebook and find someone that's like, hey, I'm listening, because I promise if you just go through your feeds, ignore the negative stuff, you'll find lots of positive. It's out there.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah Jane. And I really appreciate your sharing how difficult it was for you to shift from the vulnerability to then speaking about positive mindset, which you do so beautifully, I think, on our Wednesday panel. And it really does bring up for me what has been always this awareness that as I'm listening to all of these incredible speakers, and perhaps like you, there's so much information. And when you are working so hard to be okay in the moment, it can become completely overwhelming to figure out what to do first, right?
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, and so, you know, as we now come to the moment when we've gotten all the information today from our panelists, there's this sense of like, okay, wait, what do I do next? You know, I'm reminded of the woman I know who is now having to work at home. She's having to homeschool. She's trying to navigate her boss. She is not really happy to be with her husband. She is in a constant state of overwhelm. There is almost an impossible experience right now. Again, even here, when we've got all these great tips, there's this sense of, I don't know, you know, because you know that once you get off the call, you're maybe going to remember one thing, like maybe there'll be some little gem takeaway, but like, oh, there's too much to be able to keep track of. I can't do it. In fact, you know, the experience of anxiety and stress, we know creates confusion in the mind. Right? There's this incredible research, Joe Dispenza, for those of you who follow it, you know, he and his work are very clear that when there's something that's unknown, when there's anything that we have a sense of uncertainty about, the brain just freezes and says, do exactly the thing you did yesterday. That's how the brain works. It wants to keep you alive, and you are working hard right now to stay alive. This is not an empty metaphor or a concept. The fact is that we are at a time when we are afraid of death, if not for ourselves, if for someone that we know, or even for somewhere out in the community. There is something right at the most primitive part of our survival brain, which is just trying to stay alive. And when you're trying to stay alive, you're not really wanting to have to think about, well, did I take the right nutritional supplement today? Like, am I connecting to my higher power? No, you're trying to figure out how do you stay alive? That's how primitive all of our needs are. I know that creating this webinar with these incredible women all showing up to do just what they know how to do and to teach, my brain always feels like it's literally turned upside down and inside out. Even during this feed, we have this moment of one of us who can't come in, and then she can't come in. We are in a time of total disruption. We are in a time where we don't know what's coming 1 hour to the next. That is the nature of our reality right now. It feels unfathomable to be able to think about getting well and healthy, right? What do we do? It feels like an impossible task. Well, you've got support. You actually have the opportunity right here to know that you don't have to do it alone. Now, some of us have mentioned you might have friends to talk to, you might have a community. But one thing that anchors you into the moment is actually by not having to think about it and just to listen to someone tell you. You know, like you don't have to actually figure it out second to second. You don't actually have to be isolated and alone. You showed up for this 90 minutes, but sometimes 90 minutes is not enough. Sometimes you need someone to help you every day that you wake up as vulnerable and as wondering, what do I do today? Well, that's what we want to offer to you in these next 3 days, is an opportunity to just unplug for a moment to everything that's going on and to have just a rest in somebody else helping you through, maybe you finding one thing that you can, okay, I'm just going to do this today. Just today, I'm going to take one tiny piece of what some of these people are telling me, because I'm going to choose to trust in this moment. Maybe I'm just going to try to get a good night's sleep tonight. And if that feels too impossible because I got, you know, someone in India wanted to talk to me at 1 a.m, well, maybe I'll just make sure I unplug my phone a little bit earlier, because I remember she told me to do that too, about how to get the sleep of quality, even though it might not be enough. Just one thing. So let us help you with that. Let us help you find your one thing just each day to feel better, to feel healthy somewhere in your body, in your physical being, maybe somehow how you're thinking about things in your mindset, or maybe somewhere in your heart, in your spirit, about connecting to something that maybe is going to hold you outside of any single moment. How do you do that? Well, those of you who are already registered for the webinar, good news. You don't have to do anything else. You just get to sit back and let it come to you. I'm going to come back and give you a task to do after that. But here's the magic to technology. I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to show you exactly what to do. Because of those of you who are on Facebook Live right now, you're going to go and you're going to see underneath this feed, excuse me, I'm going now to find my own feed. Oh, hello, I'm talking to myself there. You're going to scroll on down. Oh, here are we? No, I'm just scrolling through my Facebook. And you're going to see that there is a link to this event and to register. So all you got to do is you're going to go, sorry, it's taking a little bit of time because that's how it goes. There, someone wants to scroll, right? So here you are, you're invited to join this webinar. All you have to do is you're going to find webinar registration and you're going to join the webinar in progress. Just your name, sorry, that's my personal problem. You're going to find your name, your email, and you're going to confirm your email, and then you're done. And then information is coming to you. So all you got to do, go find Facebook, go find Janet Farnsworth, or perhaps you've been invited by one of the coaches on this call, and somewhere on her page, she's got a link to register for this webinar. If you are already on this link and you already have the information coming, this is what I want you to do. I want you also to go to Facebook, click on it. And once you get this, oopsie, I just got too excited there. You're going to share. You're just going to share to your timeline and say, hey, if like me, you need a little bit of help, I'm going to share it. It's kind of weird. It's like, I feel like I'm in one of those weird double reality things because I'm sharing to my feed, even though I'm on my own feed. It's a little bit trippy. But that's all that we're asking you to do. Just go ahead and feed this information, share this information. This is free because all of us are just trying to figure it out together. All of us are just walking each other home into a better state of wellness, even while, you know, we're all still figuring it out with you. But come, let us give to you just a little bit of love, a little bit more of the opportunity to pause in the day and go, okay. Because if you're like me, once the life starts ratcheting up again, once we start getting busy and we pick up our phone and that damn news feed pops up, or we just check Facebook to say hello to our friends, and then we've got 95 things telling us what we got to do, and then that thing sticks in your head, and then once it sticks in your head, you're just feeling anxious and afraid, and then you freeze, and your brain says, stop, too much information, let me confuse you, and let's just remember to do the thing yesterday. Instead of doing that, you're going to know that you got an opportunity for an hour to put the pause on and to take in a little bit of love, a little bit of rest, a little bit of a, maybe just in this moment, everything can be okay. That's my invitation to you. I'm going to just check and see if our panelists would like to say anything. We have just a few more minutes before we sign off. My coach, Angela Loria, who we all are inspired by, says sometimes saying less, in fact, always, if you can say what you need to say in less time, it's better. So if a coach wants to say something, I'm just going to let you unmute yourself. Dr. Yanni, I'd like you to say one thing before we sign off. Go for it.
Okay, well, wonderful. I would love to offer the recommendations that I've been giving to my patients, like Dr. Veronica did as well. If they want to download my book, that'll be attached to it as well. It's a 3-page document with the COVID-19 recommendations for anyone that's going to be downloading all of our books. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm happy to share that with everyone involved.
Brilliant. Thank you. And actually, thank you for that very practical piece, because what you will find when you register for the webinar, your email will have a link. We all want to give you our books. We want to give you our books. Please let us send them to you as our gift for saying thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming along with us as we figure this out together. There will be that information as well as a little bit of information about each speaker and a way to connect to her. There may in fact be on that email a link to a bit of a goodie, a way to connect to a questionnaire or something that is relevant to that speaker's medicine and magic. So register. If you haven't registered, do. If you have registered, share. And then everybody take a moment, pause, exhale. Just now. Take a breath in. Fill up with breath until you're ready to then let it go. And then do that again. A big inhale. A big exhale. Continue just to breathe with purpose. My practice says that breath is actually the greatest expression of love, because if you think about it, you didn't have to buy the breath. You didn't have to earn the breath. You didn't have to get a degree for the breath. Breath says that you are worth you no matter what. You're worth loving and keeping going no matter what. No matter how messy, no matter how confused, no matter how afraid. Breath says you matter. I want to love you into a little bit more well-being. So just breathe, my darlings. Just breathe. From my heart to yours, and thanking you from all of the panelists, I want to say thank you specifically to our speakers. Thank you to those of you who registered already. I'm so glad you answered the call and you're joining us to make the world a healthier place. Because as we understand, we're going to heal the world first by healing ourselves. And when this is okay, we can then bring it out and give it back. From my heart to yours, all love. I'm signing off of our Facebook Live. Those of you who are on the webinar, there might be a little bit of some weird glitchy things. Don't worry, we're good. I love you.